The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over a many a quaint and curious volumes of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as if someone was gently rapping, tapping, at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, "tapping at my chamber door. Yes, it's only this, and nothing more." Ah, yes, distinctly I now remember. Yes, it was in the bleak of December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon my floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, so vainly I sought to borrow from my books of surcease of sorrow, the sorrow for the loss of my Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom these angels named Lenore. She's nameless here forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustlings of each purple curtain, it thrilled me, and it filled me with fantastic terrors I had never felt before. So that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood there just repeating, "'Tis some visitor, entreating entrance at my chamber door. Yes, it's some late-night visitor, entreating entrance at my chamber door. Yes, it's merely this, and can't be anything more." Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating now no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore, but the fact is I was here napping, and you so gently came rapping, so faintly you came tapping, tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you." Here, now, I opened wide the door. Standing there before me there was darkness, and nothing more. Deep into the darkness peering, long I stood there wondering and fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal has ever dreamed to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there that was spoken was the whispered word, "Lenore." This I whispered, and the echo murmured back the word, "Lenore." It was merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning, soon again I heard a tapping, tapping, somewhat louder than before. "Surely," said I, "surely this is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what that is, and this mystery I will explore. Let my heart just be still a moment, and this mystery I will soon explore. 'Tis probably just the wind, and nothing more." Open here I flung the shutter, when with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obedience made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mind of lord or lady perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Paulus just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and did nothing more. This ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern doctrines of countenances at war. "Though thy crest be shone and shaven, thou," said I, "art sure no craven, ghastly grim and ancient raven wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is on this night's plutonium shore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." Much I marveled at this ungainly fowl, so to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevancy it bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing such a bird above his chamber door. Bird or beast upon the sculpted bust above his chamber door, with such a name as Nevermore? But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing farther than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, "You know, Raven, other friends have flown here before. On the morrow you will leave me, and as my hopes have flown before." Then the bird said, "Nevermore." Startled at the stillness broken by the reply so aptly spoken. "Doubtless," said I, "what it utters is only of stock and store. It was probably caught from some unhappy master, whom the unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his songs one burden bore, till the dinges of his hopes that melancholy burden bore, of nevermore." But the raven still beguiling all my fancy into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird and bust and door. Then, upon this velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking that this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, gaunt and ominous bird of yore, what did it mean when it croaked, "Nevermore"? This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing, to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining, on the cushion's velvet lining that the lamplight gloated o'er, but whose velvet violet lining with the lamplight gloated o'er. Oh, my Lenore, she shall press here, nevermore. Then, methought the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by seraphims whose footfall tinkled upon the turf floor. "Wretch!" cried I, "thy God hath lent thee, by these angels he hath sent thee, respite, and these thy memories of my Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff this kind of nemesis, I forget these lost memories of my Lenore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." "Prophet!" said I, "you thing of evil, prophet still of bird or devil, whether tempest sent or whether tempest tossed thee here ashore, desolate yet all undaunted on this desert land enchanted, on this home by horror haunted, tell me, truly I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." "Prophet!" said I, "you thing of evil, prophet still of bird or devil, by that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore, tell this soul with sorrow laden, if within the distant Aidenn it shall clasp the saintly maiden whom those angels have named Lenore. Clasp a rare and radiant maiden whom those angels named Lenore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." "Be that word our sign of parting, bird or friend," I shrieked, and upstarting, "get thee back into this tempest night and the night's plutonium shore. Leave no black plume as a token of what lie thy soul has spoken. Leave thy loneliness unbroken, quit thy bust above my door. Take thy beak from out thy heart, and take thy form from off my door." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." And the raven, now flirting, still is sitting, on the pallid bust of Paulus just above my chamber door. And his eyes have all the seam of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight gloated o'er his streaming throws his shadows upon my floor. And my soul from out of that shadow that lies floating upon my floor, my soul shall be lifted nevermore. The Raven, Edgar Allan Poe.